Alright, this is another video about the water cooling stuff. Another small update. First off, I normally use a tripod, but I'm going to show you some close-ups of some of this hardware. So I'm going handheld for this, and so I'm sorry if it's shaky. I'll try not to be. This is the pump, and I'll show you the model number in a second. This is actually an inlet on the top and the two normal barbs on the side. Right now it has two 1/2-inch barbs on it. Let's see. First off is the label. You can see this is a Swiftech MCP 355, and let's see, there's focus, DDC-2 pump, and it has the aftermarket acrylic head on it, and it's supposed to help improve flow rate, but I mainly like it because it has these extra mounting holes on the side here, and I'm going to be using those to mount it in a hard drive bay. Alright, next up we have the motherboard. Just a moment. I have a really big heat sink on it right now, so it's heavy. Let's see. And let's get out here, see what'll focus. Kinda. There we go. Anyway, yes, this is an old board. It's LGA 775. And the reason I'm using an old board like this, damn it, there goes the mic. Anyway, the reason I'm using an old board like this is because, well, I've never done water cooling before, and I don't want to put my big i7 on it for the first time in case I spring a leak and fry something. So I'd rather use this old system from 2009 first for my first time, and then that way if it springs a leak, then I'm not going to cry too much. Let's see here. Where's the model number? I'm not going to be able to see it, I don't think. No. Anyway, it's a GA EP45 UD3P. And this is actually a really good overclocking motherboard for 775, and I do plan to overclock very significantly with this setup, with the water setup. I already have a 45nm Wolfdale dual core that is shown stable and good at 4500 megahertz. I have a Pentium D chip that's shown stable at 4600 megahertz in this board. And I've already run this board up to 530 FSB. I had it at 540 FSB at one point. So it's a very good overclocking board. And it takes quite a lot of 775 chips. I do have plans later with this project to upgrade it to one of their 12 megabyte cache Xeon quad cores and try and overclock that with the water system. But that'll be much later. Anyway, and let me set this down and change, and I'll get something else. And this is the case I'll be using. It's an Antec 300. I think it's the version 2. It has the cutout in the back for the motherboard hole for the CPU slot, and it's quite used and old. And anyway, that's what's going to be used for the project. I have a 240mm radiator that's coming, and I'm most likely going to mount that on top externally and create my own mount. I'm not sure how that's going to work yet. I have some general ideas. Okay, that's it for now, and then I'm going to skip forward in a minute and show you the pump mounted in here. Alright, and continuing this video, I'll also show you some of the RAM that I have. Let's see, get it to focus here. There we go. No, that's not it. This would be it. Anyways, Crucial Ballistics DDR2 1066, and I got a match set. I think they're a gig each. They also came in a package from my friend, and plan to use them with the system. Alright, put that aside. And here is the pump mounted in the system. Just a moment, I'll show you better there. And I'm planning to put it down the bottom here for a couple of reasons. There we go. Main reason being so it'll get airflow from the front fans later and keep it cool. And the other reason it'll be, here it is in the back in here. The other reason I want it down here is I'm planning to put the reservoir right about in here. And so by putting it there, I think I can run a hose from the bottom of it right down to there, and then gravity will probably keep the water fed to the pump at all times. And I did another test earlier and set it up with a bowl of water and held the tube up in the air, and this pump has no problems pushing fluid up about 5-6 feet in the air. So it should have no issues pushing through the top of this radiator up top. These are actually very strong pumps, and I'm really surprised. The other thing about these pumps I found out is the other inlet knob that's in the front here. Let me fix this. The other knob up top, if you take this off and use this instead of the actual inlet down there that most people use, this top inlet is much quieter and has significantly stronger water flow. So at some point I plan to get some kind of fitting like a 45 degree or something and put it in top and route the inlet through that instead. But for right now I don't have any other fittings than barbs other than these little barbs, so that's that. And then I'm going to cut over and show you something else in a moment. Okay, I also wanted to show you guys about the barbs and how they seal, for those of you that have never done water cooling before. First off, this is 1/2 inch inner diameter tube, also called ID, and I think it's 3/8 inch OD, which is this thick wall. You can see in my hand here, and I'm about how big it is. And let's see, what are the reference? Here you can see next to some RAM, about the average size. It's pretty thick. And anyway, here's the barbs. I was going to show you that just the act of actually working the tubing on the barb itself is enough to make a water seal without any clamps or anything else. In my testing so far, I've been just running it like this, just made it over a barb, and I haven't had any leaks in testing yet. But despite this, I do still plan to use a standard zip tie around just a little behind the barb part of it, or nipple, or whatever you call it. And I'll show you all that. And then it's actually rather difficult for it to come off once you get a little zip tie around it. That's really all you need. And the zip tie really only functions just to make sure the tube doesn't pop off while it's running. You don't even need it for the water seal. I've actually seen some people on some forums online that write in about, one guy said he'd been running a system for months with no clamps and nothing other than sticking it on barbs. So apparently that works. Here's the other one. The tubing just sticks right over. Anyway, there's that, and that's the end of all this for now. Let's see. It is now after midnight on Wednesday, and the rest of my stuff should arrive Thursday. So here in a couple days I'll have another update.